It's time for Around the Ozark Sports Scene, brought to you by Thompson Sales and the Pitch Pizza and Pub. Here's your host, Scott Puryear.
Welcome into another edition of Around the Ozark Sports Scene. I am Scott Puryear. As always, big thank you for tuning in this week. We're going to talk some baseball here in the first segment with the two head bosses here in the programs in town, Joey Hawkins at Missouri State and Scott Nasby at Drury, as we talk about the Battle for Bell going on Thursday, October 8th over at Hammons Field. It's the 9th edition of this, an event that started back in 2012 as a fundraiser for the ALS Foundation and the Howard Bell Clinic over at CoxHealth. Of course, Howard Bell, a former Bears standout, longtime Glendale coach and assistant, and just a great cause and hopefully a great turnout for hopefully great weather that night. But, guys, I appreciate you joining me today.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Naz, you played for Howard as an assistant, and then were part of the original event in 2012. Joey played in the 2012 event, so you guys have a good history with this. Scott, tell me about how you guys approach this game and what it means to your program and your kids.
Yeah, the most important part is to continue Howard's legacy, try to continue to have his name out there in the community and, bring some information to light for the community of how much funding the ALS Clinic needs and how much it can be important to guys and families who are struggling with the disease. But, for our players, to at least know who Howard is and know the history of the game is important. And then we pretty much wrap up our outside competition fall normally with this game, with it being in October. And so, kind of building up to it with some outside live competition and knowing it's the best competition we're going to get a chance to see probably all year.
Joey, you're in your second year as the head coach over the Bears. Of course, played in this, as we mentioned, 2012. What do you remember about that inaugural Battle for Bell?
It was special. I remember a really good crowd. Just everything about the whole event, outside of the game itself showed just how important that day is for our community. For Howard, like Scott said, with just his legacy. And I've just really enjoyed that it's grown. I think, Springfield's such a great baseball community. So when you have a chance to use our sport as an opportunity to, fundraise some money, put on a good cause for ALS, it always just is a special night. And to be able to play in that first one was really cool. And to still be a part of it to this day means a lot to me and our program.
And of course, it was special. Howard was able to attend the first one. I remember that night, and hats off to Mark Stratton and Keith Gutton, your predecessors, who had the Peace Summit, came together and said, let's play this game in honor of Howard. And two great guys with big hearts, and it's great that it lives on today. I think the coolest part about it is, we've got a Division I program in town in the Bears, Division II in Drury, and you two can come together and play and on one night, which is great for the city of Springfield and the Ozarks. From a competition standpoint, Joey, how do you guys approach the game? And then, Scott, I'll let you address that as well.
We take it just like a real game in the spring, and it's a really important game for us. Obviously, it's an opportunity for me to explain to our team the importance of the game. When we recruit players, we talk a lot just about the people in our program and how great of a community this is to live in when you're a student athlete here. And I think that night always, kind of comes full circle for the new guys to really feel it and feel what our program's about and this community is about. But competition-wise, we only get to play 2 exhibition games in the fall. So this one's always on our schedule. We'll always continue to do it. So it's our one of 2 opportunities to play someone with a different jersey and, get under the lights and have the full show and fans in the stands. And, you love to get some new players in there, some young players, and get their feet wet. So all in all, it touches a lot of different pieces for the program. Like I said, for a good cause, but also, from a baseball standpoint, getting the opportunity to compete against someone else.
Scott?
Yeah, I think for our players, one of the most exciting pieces is to be on Hammons Field, just to be on that type of field with the history that's been there, and grateful for the Bears and the Cardinals for letting us be on there. But a lot of our parents will come down and stay, and our guys will obviously enjoy the day. But competing against guys that maybe they went to high school with or played travel ball with, or even have a couple guys on, maybe they have a chip on their shoulder that think they should have, got the Division I looks where they're at, so they get a chance to compete against a team that's had a ton of success here in town, and doing that without having to travel on a long bus ride. So, for us, we'll trot out probably 5 or 6 arms and trot out our best lineup to see where we're at and make adjustments from there. But it's a great way to finish the fall where you don't have to face your roommate over and over, because that gets kind of stale by the end of October. You face your roommate, he knows how to get you out, and you finally get to see some fresh pitching on the mound.
Absolutely. Again, it's the 9th annual Battle for Bell. Thursday, October 8th. The Missouri State Drury game will start at 6:30 p.m. at Hammons Field. Tickets are $5 each. You can get them in advance at the CoxHealth Foundation website, or just buy them at the gate. And again, proceeds benefit the ALS Foundation, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, which took Howard Bell's life in 2013. Mission University and Evangel will play at noon that day over at Hammons Field. Again, part of the fundraiser for the CoxHealth Howard Bell Clinic. So mark it on your calendars, and should be a fun and memorable night once again. Naz, tell me about Howard Bell, the coach. What made him special in those years you were with him at Glendale?
Yeah, the combination of Stratton and Bell was pretty special. So Bell was the JV coach, and so when I moved here from California, played a little bit under him when American Legion was still a thing. But you'd play, JV and varsity games in the summertime. So it was long nights at the park, and Coach Bell sitting at the end of the dugout, and wasn't a loud guy during the games, but he could kind of pull you aside and give you some pointers and let you know what you needed to do a little bit better, while taking kind of a backseat to Coach Stratton during the varsity stuff. And then Coach Bell meant a lot. I mean, his connection with Coach Gooden was one of the reasons why I was able to go play at SMS at the time, and was able to work with me, offensively and then behind the plate as well to get me where I want. So, there's a lot of coaches in town that help young players get to where they want to be collegiately, and Coach Bell did that for hundreds of kids throughout his career, even though a lot of it was as a JV coach. Or a Legion coach, and then when he took over the Glendale program too. But there's a long legacy that he left for us.
Yeah, there's been a long history, great relationship between these programs because of those connections. Naz being a former Bear, and Coach Gutton and Stratton and Gutton being friends and everything else. Have you seen the house that Naz built out at Meadow Park now? What are your thoughts on that?
I love it. When we typically get back for school starting in August, we'll have usually 2 weeks where the Cardinals are still in town. So Naz is kind enough to let us get out there a little bit, and it's good for us to get on some turf, considering how much turf we play on these days. So it looks great. It keeps getting better. And I think it's just really cool in this town how intertwined the baseball community is. You have Coach Evans over there with Naz now, and obviously Naz played here, and we're always just trying to help each other out one way or another, whether it's through recruiting, fundraising, the Battle for Bell. I think anytime we can raise the level of baseball in this town, it's only going to help us. And I think you're starting to see it through the grassroots. The 26 class, 27 class, 28 class, there's some really good ball players coming up through our high school systems, and I think a big piece of it is just how good the college programs are becoming in here in Springfield.
Naz, what's the next phase for Mark Orley Field at Meadow Park? What do you got cooking?
We've got 170 chairbacks coming in January. So behind home right now, we've got those little metal bleachers that are just saving space, but we'll have chairbacks with cup holders, an armrest. That'll be 7 rows going up to the press box. And so that'll finish phase 2. And then phase 3, I'm still waiting on approval from multiple people, but once we get approval, we'll start finding the money for it.
There you go. Let's talk about your teams just briefly. We'll bring you both back in January to talk about when the season starts, a little preview there. But Joe, your Bears 30-25 last year in the Valley, win the regular season title, now headed to Conference USA, or actually there now once the schedule starts in the spring. we were talking a little bit earlier. You don't have as many guys that go out and play in the summer, but you did have some guys go out and shine in their summer work. Kind of talk about them and maybe touch on some of the newcomers that could be key players this fall.
Yeah, some big returners for us that had good summers. Caden Bogenpool had the opportunity to go play in the Cape Cod League, which is obviously the most premier summer league. Had a great summer out there. I think he came out of there the 7th ranked draft prospect for the year, going into his junior year, which is pretty exciting. There's going to be a lot of attention around him. Curry Sutherland was out in the Coastal Plains League and had an awesome summer on both the mound and at the plate. Hit for a ton of power. He's probably our most improved and advanced player, obviously local kid from Rogersville that we're really excited about. And then Logan Fife was another one that was out in the Appy League. He was a freshman last year, didn't play a ton, took advantage of a ton of at-bats. I think he was top 10 in 4 or 5 different offensive categories out there. So that was big. And today's world, training guys in the summer also really important. So like where we're at physically, going into the fall and through the fall right now, we got some nicks and knacks that we're dealing with and some guys that need NCAA waivers still. So we're playing a little shorthanded, but all in all, we're excited about the new opportunity in Conference USA.
Have you got a feel for the league in terms of like who are the big dogs, so to speak, and from top to bottom, is it comparable to the Valley, would you say? How would you compare the two?
I think Conference USA is a lot better. Look, I'm pretty transparent when it comes to this topic. I think in today's world of college athletics, you're seeing programs and conferences that are becoming better because they spend more money. And whether that's on the field or in facilities or commitment from their administration, Conference USA is full of programs that invest a ton of money in baseball. So top to bottom, I think it's a way better league. The top half of the league is going to be really tough, but I can see us fitting in there and making a run for being a team that can get into the top 4 and compete fairly well.
And you've got one more public exhibition, right? After the Battle for Bell.
Yeah, we're going to play Arkansas State October 18th, which is a Saturday. Works out well. Bears football play on a bunch of Wednesdays throughout October and on the road. So hoping to get some fans out and another opportunity for our guys to face someone in a different uniform.
As you're in your 13th season at Drury after years under Stratton as the assistant, 33-23 last year, 21-11 in GLBC. Kind of talk about the summer for your guys. Do a lot of them go play? Do they train? And then what's the fall look like for you so far?
Yeah, we graduated a lot on the mound. So we lost 250 of our 450 innings that we threw, including Cody Ball, who graduated with the most innings pitched, the most wins, and had a 300 strikeout career. So he's a big one we got to replace because he's been our number one for 5 years. I think he's faced the Bears 5 times. So they'll finally see someone new for the first time. And then we lost some other weekend guys and the returning guys. We got 2 guys that are kind of banged up. So it's been a great fall for our new arms, which we have a lot of them, to try to figure out who's going to secure these innings, who's going to be a weekend guy, who's a back end guy. So this game will definitely help us with that. But we added Caleb Thomas, who was at Missouri State last year. He's having a great fall. Sometimes change of scenery can be good. Well, he didn't have to change apartments. He could just move across the street a little bit and maybe have a new role. So we're excited about him. And then Coleman Morrison, who was at Catholic and went to Jeffco for a couple years. He's had a solid fall as well. Sam Peterson out of SBU transferred to us. He's got 1 year left. And he's been good, as well as Alex Logan from Ren Lake. So we've picked up some JUCO guys and some transfers to go with our returners. But, we lost 4 of our 5 starters plus our top 4 in the pen. So it's brand new pitching wise. And then
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What do you got?
Let's say that going across the street worked out pretty well for Tony Lewis back in that first year of baseball in 2007, didn't it?
We've had a few, whether that's, hey, I don't want to DH anymore, or I don't want to be the backup third baseman, or, financially it's different, or I got some best friends I want to finish my career with. But, Tony Lewis, Kyle Dyer, we've had some of the best in our program have decided to transfer over. So, sometimes a change of scenery is good and performance increases. And so we're excited for that. But, and then offensively, Jackson Kreider is our leader. He was a freshman All-American this last year, hit .434 with an OPS of 1.2. So He's tough to get out. He played with the Thrillbillies up in the Prospect League, so he had a good year there. He's going to graduate this year. He'll be at third and first, and so we're excited about Kreider and the other pieces around him. We returned Connor Bain. He started in center field for 3 years for us. Phenomenal center fielder. One of the best, if not the best, that I've ever been around. And then Luke Matchner is a returner as well, that had a solid campaign with about 20 bags and hit 310. So, and then Landon Wilbrand, our shortstop, he's back. He's been a 3-year starter. So we returned those guys as well as a handful of guys who are competing offensively. And so excited to kind of build and pick those pieces around and see if there's some more flexibility in the lineup this year than we had last year.
You both have been around Paul Evans, Lump, for years, as a coach. Is he any quicker now in that walk to the mound in his latter stages, Naz, or is it still kind of a sundial type thing? Joe, you can comment as well if you'd like.
He doesn't have to walk to the mound anymore, which is a good thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But he got his hip fixed. His daughter got married. His daughter wanted him to walk her down the aisle, and he lost some weight and got his hip fixed, and still got some knee problems. But he's definitely moving much better than he used to. No cane anymore. And so if you needed to make a mound visit, you better watch out if Lump's coming to talk to you. That's for sure.
You just need to send him out as an honorary mound visitor, every now and then or so. Joe, you got any good Lump stories?
I got too many to count. And if you got a phone call with Lump, you better save 30 minutes because it's going to be a good one. But no, I told him the other day, it looks like he's running around Metter with that new hip. So
that's
glad
awesome.
He's in a good spot, and still got a great relationship with Lump. We talk all the time, and it's fun to see him still out there doing his thing.
Well, one of the good guys in the game there, been around a long time, and both of you, I know that it's been a tradition with inter-squad, fall World Series, things like that. Joe, you guys have kind of swayed from that a little bit. Do you still have anything going on inter-squad and it's open to the public or not?
We're going to try to, yeah. We're going to get through Battle for Bell and then play Arkansas State on October 18th, kind of see where we're at. 2 of our projected starters are down right now with an injury, so we don't know when they're going to be back this fall. So that obviously impacts a lot of innings when you're trying to play each other. So it might be 3 5-inning games, but we'll do something fun at the end.
And Naz?
We've got our JV team too, so we got a large squad. So we're going to World Series. We're actually going to go 3 teams. And so we're going to play like high intensity 5-inning games. Each team will get 4 games over the span of a week. And yeah, we got, as long as no one gets hurt, knock on wood, we have 3 guys at every single position. Some guys will be out of position, but to do that, to have 10-man lineups instead of 2 18-man lineups, so it'll be more efficient for our guys. So we're trying to get guys as many reps as possible.
Very good. Well, guys, I appreciate your time. Again, it's the Battle for Bell, Thursday night, October 8th, 6:30, Hammonds Field. Best of luck to both of you, and we'll talk to you in the spring, okay?
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate the support.
You betcha. 2 of the good guys out there in the baseball world in town, Scott Nasby and Joey Hawkins. Again, the Battle for Bell, Thursday, October 8th, 6:30 p.m. start at Hammonds Field between Drury and Missouri State baseball. Tickets are $5, available at CoxHealth Foundation website, or you can pay for them at the gate. All proceeds benefit the ALS Foundation and the Howard Bell Clinic, ALS Clinic at CoxHealth. And again, Mission and Evangel will be playing a game at noon that day as well as part of the festivities. So that's thanks to Scott Nasby and Joey Hawkins for joining us on that segment. Got a bonus segment on today's podcast with a visit from Rusty Medearis, the former Ozark High School, University of Miami football star back in the early 90s, of course, going into the Springfield Area Sports Hall of Fame next Tuesday night. If anybody wants to go see that, tickets are still available, so give us a call on that. But wanted to visit with Rusty about the induction and kind of go back over. It's been a while since I've caught up with one of my favorite players back in the day. Rusty, thanks for joining me.
You got it, Scott. It's great to be here with you.
Well, I know you've been in, the University of Miami football or the Athletic Hall of Fame, Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. This is kind of the Springfield area, right where you grew up. What does this honor mean to you?
Well, what it really made me think of just now when you said that was the All Ozarks team, which I think I was on it a couple of years.
Yeah.
And that kind of, I guess this comes full circle because I don't think there's any more after this one for me because that's high school, college, Missouri, and then now this Springfield one. So I'm kind of thinning out, and I'm too young to be this old.
Well, of course, those who aren't familiar with Rusty Medearis, I'll fill you in. Back in the was it 89, 90, your last two high school years?
89 was my last year in high school, yeah.
Okay. And in the late 80s, early 90s, he was a force at Ozark High School, kind of a rush linebacker. I tell people from me having seen you play back then that you had Lawrence Taylor's speed with Grant Wistrom's motor. If I had to combine a guy that came before you and after you, just a fierce competitor on the field. Kid from Ozark, Missouri, winds up in Miami with the Hurricanes. But that was back. Was that all Jimmy Johnson when you were there or not?
Yeah, that was Jimmy Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, that's when the Canes were pretty much badasses, and Army fatigues and a defense that one season, your national championship season in 1992, allowed just 9 points per game. And you watch any college game now, and there's 9 points in the first 5 minutes usually. But just had a phenomenal career down there, cut short by a knee injury. I still want to, I was still wanted to track the guy down there for years and say why. But, you burst onto the scene as a freshman at Miami. First start, you make 5.5 sacks in the first game against Texas Tech. Part of your 12 tackles. I guess after that, you had to say, hey, this college football thing's easy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's not even close. I wanted to quit so many times before that happened. But, yeah, when we finished that first game, we were all thinking it was like 7 because I was just all over the backfield at Texas Tech that day.
Yeah, it was crazy, and went on to have 10.5 sacks that first year, second only to your teammate Russell Maryland for the Outland Trophy as the nation's best interior lineman.
And the very first pick in the NFL draft.
Russell Maryland. Pick. Absolutely, yeah. And, of course, then had another great year. You guys win a national title. You beat Nebraska 22-0. That's the season where you allowed 9 points per game. Finish your career with 22 sacks, 7th on the all-time Miami football list in just over 2 full seasons. As we mentioned, junior year, Arizona lineman dives into your knee with a chop block, gruesome injury, 13-hour surgery, tore ACL, MCL, about everything in that deal?
MCL, LCL, popliteal artery was ruptured. That was the one that's the thing that most of the kids that had my injury lost their leg.
Oh, geez. Well, and tried to come back a year and a half later, missed the 93 season, played a couple of games, but just too much pain, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was just, I just kind of figured I was kind of not going anywhere. I knew nobody's going to take a shot at me with the knee that I had in the NFL, so I kind of just said, yeah, it's enough for me.
It's not productive for people to sit around and ask why me, but did you ever go through that phase? I mean, because the way things started, and I'm fully convinced you would have been an NFL star because, like we said, Grant Wistrom came along and was basically after his career at Webb City and Nebraska, a rush end, that relied on motor and quickness.
I was his host. I was his host when he came down to Miami. He came down to Miami, and I hosted him.
Did you really? Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't go out with he wouldn't go out with anybody else. He said, "If I'm coming to Miami," I don't think he ever was going to come to Miami, but I think he just wanted to meet me.
That was good.
So he said, "If I can't get Rusty to take me out, then I really don't want to come down there."
Well, of course, he ended up having a great All-American career at Nebraska and then with the Rams and Seahawks in the NFL. Did you ever wonder what kind of NFL player, even today, you would have been?
Well, I think I just would have kept getting better and better. And when I was a freshman, we had one of the best defensive lines that I ever played on. Like I said, Russell Maryland was a #1 draft pick in that year in 1990. And we were scary good. We were scary good defensively. People, imagine coaching a team playing against us, an offensive coordinator trying to figure out how they were going to move the football on a defense that would just make you look silly. We really were that good. By the end of the year, the only team that we could get to play us was Texas. But we had already lost 2 games that year. We lost our first game out in Provo, Utah. We flew out to Provo, Utah. Beautiful stadium, beautiful mountains overlooking the stadium. But Ty Detmer, we gave him the Heisman. Now, I wasn't playing then, and I think I'd have done a hell of a job trying to track that little dude down, but he just went all over the field. And by the time, and when we come from Miami where the humidity is 99%. Up there, you're breathing like sand's coming out of your mouth in the first quarter. I mean, you can't get moisture in your mouth. So we lose that game, and but I was long snapping. Coach Erickson asked me to long snap that year because we didn't have one, and so I learned the long snap that summer. And so I made the plane and went out to the first 6 games, but the defensive line coach, we didn't see eye to eye too well. He didn't like me, I didn't like him, and we kind of agreed we'd go that way. Yeah. And so by the 6th game, we'd lost one other game, and that was Florida State. No, we'd lost one other game, but I can't remember who it was. I think it may have been Florida State. I don't know. It was a big one. But it was Notre Dame. It was Notre Dame that year because the game before I started, I did get to play a little bit up in South Bend against Notre Dame, but not much. And then by the 6th game, the defensive line coach, who I didn't get along with, he said, "Well, we're out of players. I've got to put you in, so I guess you're starting." So that's how that kind of rolled. And how good could I have been in the NFL? I don't know. I've seen the best there ever is and was. Russell Maryland was probably the best. Him and Cortez Kennedy were 2 of the most dynamic, amazing defensive linemen that you could ever learn from, and they were both kind of mentors to me. So I owe them a lot. But sky's the limit. I would have dominated in the NFL just like I did in college.
Is that do you watch much football now? And has there been anybody in the last 25 years that you saw and said, that's kind of what I would have been like in the league?
Wow, that's a good one.
Like a J.J. Watt or
definitely, definitely a J.J. Watt because first of all, I never really played at much size. My best playing weight, I mean, I could get up to 255, but I didn't feel that good. I felt better at 230, and that's what I played at, was 230 pounds.
Wow.
NFL, you're not going to play at 230 pounds, not on defensive line. So I would have had to beefed up like Grant did. I mean, he got pretty big there for a little bit.
Yeah.
But when you're working 24 hours a day for the same goal, getting your body weight up is not too much of a problem. It's keeping that dance move that you have, the flexibility, not looking like a 10-man. That's the greatest defense. Greatest pass rushers have always been kind of a good dancer with their hips and their. That's why another reason why Dwayne Dewey was never that good. He was too 10 man. He couldn't swivel his hips or make those turns, and that's why I think basketball came in for me. It gave me that athletic ability that it takes to be a football player. You can't be a football player and not be an athlete. Not at that level.
Yeah. let's go back to your Ozark days. Growing up, you had brothers that toughened you up, I guess would be the best way to put it, to where when you got to high school and started playing sports, you're ready to roll. And I just remember encountering you as probably a sophomore at Ozark, and you had the Miami mindset as a high school kid, and that I'm going to dominate, and you're not going to be able to stop me. How big was that in terms of you making the transition from small town Ozark high school guy to stepping right into the Miami Hurricanes program? I got to think you already having that mentality was a big plus.
Really, what I hated to do most, and that comes from my brothers, was lose. I hated losing. My high school coach told me, he said, my high school basketball coach, you probably know Terry Ryder, he said, Rusty, I've had players that were better, but I've never had a player that hated to lose as much as you did. Never in my life. Yeah. So that's what you had to have that swagger. And I think the only person I really ever talked trash to, because I just never was any good at it, I think Peanut Adams. I trash talked him at Arkansas my sophomore year.
And he's the nicest guy on the planet too. Right?
Oh man, I never met him. I knew his best friend, Keith Adams. Keith and I were tight. We used to play AAU together, but I'd never met Gary Adams. And everyone has told me, and he ended up being a Secret Service agent. So you got to be a smart dude to make it that far in the government. But I'd never met him.
You're telling me that all those games in high school against Republic, and Nixon wasn't really a factor back then. I don't think that you played them then, but Republic was the game that you just never said anything to those other Tigers across the line.
No, never did. We actually, Nixa went up to 3A my senior year. I was the first Ozark player to play Nixa, and it happened my senior year, I think. But Aaron Wells had graduated. He was a great quarterback for Nixa. If they'd have had him, they'd have beat us. But we did win that game because I worked at a feedlot there in Ozark, and my boss told me if we lost to Nixa, don't show up to work the next day. In basketball or football, don't show up to work if you lose to Nixa.
Wow. And you're bringing up some good basketball memories. One of my favorite, probably one of the most rowdy scenes ever was, Coach Ryder. I think Phil Montgomery was the assistant coach, and you guys were playing Republic. They had John Wakeman and Jamie Moreland, and that was an absolute war, wasn't it? Those basketball games with those guys.
How good was John Wakeman?
Yeah.
And I met him at his daughter ran track and field around the same time my daughter did, but I met him there. What a super guy. What a super dude. I just loved talking to him. And he was one hell of a basketball player.
Now, was that Lauderdale that was with you then, or Scott Lauderdale?
Scott Lauderdale was one of the best basketball players I ever played with, and I played with a lot there at Ozark. Scott had no athletic ability, couldn't run very fast, wasn't very strong, but you're never, ever going to outwork Scott Lauderdale. That guy worked harder than anybody I've ever seen. And he and I would haul. I didn't know. I don't think I knew this until after we played. But he and I hauled a lot of hay together.
Okay.
Talk about toughness. You get up in the middle. You get up the top of a hayloft in the middle of July or August when it's about 170 degrees. Feels like it anyway. But Scott was the hardest working kid, and it was a fantastic basketball player because every time we needed a score, it was going to him, and he was going to do it. We ended up winning a lot of games, and then when we went to district, we ended up playing Republic, and they just called some really silly stuff on us, and Scott got thrown out. I think I got in foul trouble, and we ended up losing districts that year, and we were ranked as high as number 2 in the state, I think, at that time. Or during the year we were. But yeah, I played with some good players. And there's all kinds of players, you know. There's in sports, that's what's beautiful about sports. You don't have to have all the great gifts and athletic ability. You can do it, and you can make it, whether you're short, tall, skinny, or heavy. But it takes, you got to put in the work, because the win on Friday night or Saturday, that work, that comes from what you did on Monday.
What were some of your favorite football memories that, you know, playing for Phil Montgomery and you know, I remember one game that I got banned from the Ozark press box because I was simply just trying to get you the football on offense. You know, I think they were playing you on the line.
They banned you?
Yeah, Dan Evans, who's now a good friend, and I actually do a gambling podcast with Dan as well.
I think Dan was out of his mind back then. Let me tell you that, because that's, everyone says back when he was that, Dan lost his mind, and then somehow he turned out to be an all right dude.
Well, and I think this was actually the Tom Cox year, you know, and Coach Cox didn't like that I was trying to coach his football team. All I was saying was, if you put Rusty back there as a fullback and just let him run with the ball, nobody's going to tackle him. And I think you were playing on the offensive line then, and I don't think they liked that. So Dan banned me from the press box. So I was going to bat for you, Rusty. You could have been, you know, an NFL fullback too.
You know, and I appreciate what you did, because I didn't really care, because I knew I was going to go to college playing linebacker. Yeah. But I hated to lose. And if somebody saw a way that we could win and you did that, you said, hey, just put him back there. And so the coach actually did. He had to bow to the pressure. They gave me the ball at Republic a few times, but they tackled me right away.
Hey,
so it didn't work. You got him to change the offense and put me in the backfield. So that is hilarious. But yeah.
Who were some of your favorite football teammates at Ozark?
Oh, favorite? Geez. Franny Pyle. Of course, Murphin was my linebacker. Mark Gimlin. God, I'll leave out so many, but Brian Applegate was a great player. Skeens. Both the Skeens, John Skeens was the coach my sophomore year. Then Tom Cox came in. But yeah, it's so many great players. Danny Parker was a quarterback my senior year. Yeah, we had a whole lot of good people, But the one thing, Rusty Estes is another kid that was a great player, great running back. The one thing that they said at Ozark, they always had that 2 ambulances. See, they couldn't get by with just 1 ambulance in the high school football game at Ozark. You had to have 2 because you knew you were going to use them.
Hey, tell us about your daughter. I know she had a great high school volleyball career. Is she still playing now collegiately? Yeah,
she still plays at Purdue. This portal has kind of messed these smaller schools up. They lost a lot of good players last year, and their best player this year broke her back playing volleyball this summer. So their record isn't very showing that they're doing very good, but they look brilliant at times. They just don't have the depth to carry out the game. But yeah, she plays up at Purdue Fort Wayne, up in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Awesome. And then she was a Nixa product, right? Went to Nixa.
That's right. Yeah, she went She went to state 3 years in a row. No, 4. She went to state 4 times and won state her freshman year. And she came out and says, I don't know why everybody's so excited. We'll just win it again next year. And I said, honey, this doesn't happen very often. I didn't go to state in any sport in high school.
Yeah.
Nevertheless win it.
How how cool is it, that the high school that your daughter went to has produced the number one high school offensive player in the country, offensive lineman Jackson Cantwell, who back in May chose to be a Cane. Is that kind of neat? I know he's coming to the banquet with his parents to meet you and get two Canes together there. Is that a pretty neat thing? And I guess, is that a sign that Miami truly is on their way back?
Well, they're ranked number one in the country right now. I think Jackson. That just tells you right there how valuable offensive tackles are. Jackson is the number one kid in the country out of Nixa, Missouri, out of California, Texas, Florida. We got a kid in Missouri that's the number one player, and he's an offensive lineman. You can't do anything without some great blockers on ends where I played. Jackson's a hell of a player. I've seen him. His highlights are just insane. And when does he actually report? Does he report? Because he's still a junior this year.
He's a senior now. He's actually going to graduate at semester and head down there for spring drills. So
that is so smart. That is so smart.
Yeah. Have you ever met him?
I've not met him, and I wanted to. I'm glad he's coming to the banquet because I would like to sit down with him and talk to him, but I don't know how much relevance anything I would have to say for him. I mean, when I was there, it was 30 years ago, 3 years ago, and we weren't getting paid $6 million to go play football in college. Holy cow. I think that's what, if he's the number one kid in college, then he's got to be getting paid several million, right?
He's doing okay. He'll do okay down there. Well, and you say that they don't know about it, but I'm sure when they go down there, they see the Hall of Famers and number 98 that you wore and things like that. That still resonates because, honestly, if this Miami team is good, really good, it harkens back to the time when you were there, the last time they were that good, right?
No. You're missing the 2001 team, bro.
Okay. Yeah.
That is arguably one of the best college football teams ever put together in 2001.
Okay. So they did have a little rising up there because it's been a while since they've been in that top 5, top 10 picture. And it looks like they're back now. But
we've only won national championships in odd numbered years.
And this
83,
is
87, 89, 91, and 2001.
That's awesome.
And so this year's an odd year. So I played with Mario. He didn't. He was a year ahead of me, and I started like a year before he did.
Okay.
No, yeah. So he had an older brother, Lou, that I played with. But Mario's a real energetic guy, and I actually coached with him, graduate assistant coached with him a little bit there at Miami too.
Yeah. Is it a thing where once a Cane, always a Cane? I mean, does it stay in your blood?
Oh, absolutely. There's, I don't know, as much of things have changed, they're still going to have 2-a-day practices. That hadn't changed.
Yeah.
And anybody that has went through that, I would have to liken it to SEAL training out in San Diego. Because we did go out to the beaches a few times and run in the sand, but it's if you've been through 2-a-day practices, you have a brotherhood. And I don't care if it's in college, just the hits are harder and everything's 100 times faster. That's the only difference. But nobody wants to go out in the morning and get pounded on, and then say, you know what, I'm going to go eat a sandwich. I'm going to come back and do it again at 2:00. It's just insane. Anybody that's ever done that in their life, I have respect for. And yeah, at Miami, when it's 99 and 99% humidity and you're wearing all those clothes and you feel like you can't even, you're just breathing water because the air's just contains so many molecules of moisture that you're just basically breathing water and you can't even fill your lungs. Yep. Every Cane that ever sat in that locker room has experienced that, and it's life-changing.
Yeah. Well, Rusty, we appreciate your time and looking forward to sitting down with you next Tuesday night at the Hall of Fame. Best wishes to you, and we'll see you then, okay?
Thanks a lot. Good to have you. Good talking to you, Scott.
Thank you, Rusty. Thank you. Rusty Medearis, the former Ozark High School star back in the late 80s, early 90s. He was a force to be reckoned with. I would, covered a lot of high school back then. I would compare him only to the likes of Mark Smith and Grant Wistrom from Webb City in terms of just that toughness and that mentality that they were not going to lose out there. So appreciate his time. And again, looking forward to seeing him going into the Springfield Area Sports Hall of Fame. Big thank you to our sponsor, Thompson Sales, located 1555 East Independence in South Springfield. Thompson Sales have been in business since 1919. They're your home for the area's largest selection of Cadillac, Buick, and GMC cars and trucks, new and used. They've got them there at Thompson's. Of course, a great service department to take care of your vehicle after the sale. You're going to love working with the family there because they treat you like family. That's Thompson Sales, where the Thompson boys are dealing. That's going to do it for this week's edition. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week on Around the Ozark Sports Scene.